Children, do you face problems in your life? Yes, I can hear a lot of answers. Yes, miss, we have a lot of problems. I can understand. We face a lot of problems every day. What do you do when you have a problem? When I have a problem, many times I go and share it to everyone, mostly with my family members or my very close friends. But God expects us to be still. He wants us to share all our problems with Him, and He says that He will fight for us. We just need to be still. The battle in life is so real many times, and it feels intense too. If you're in the heat of the battle right now, please know that you are not alone. God is the one who fights on your behalf, constantly shielding you, protecting you, strengthening you, even when you are unaware of all these things. He works in perfectly mysterious ways with wonders to perform and bring miraculous victory. So, God wants to give us victory in all areas. He's working on our behalf. Hold your peace and let God fight the battle for you. God says, be still and I will fight the battle for you. No matter how fierce the battle may be, but God is there on our side and He will fight for us. Have a good day, children. Today, we are to see the ninth chapter, Fiscal Economics. This is a very interesting chapter which deals with the financial administration of the government, and we'll study all the matters relating to finance, taxes, the government's revenue, the expenditure, and the debt in this chapter. So, what do you mean by the word fiscal? Fiscal relates to financial matters and matters relating to taxation, public revenue, and public debt. The term fiscal economics is a new one. The old and popular term of the subject is public finance. So, this term is a new term. Before this term came into existence, we had this term public finance. So, the term fiscal economics is a new one. Previously, it was called as public finance. The term fiscal is derived from the Greek word which means basket and symbolizes the public purse. So, what do you mean by this word fiscal? In Greek, it means basket. Basket means you carry all your things in your basket. So, likewise, fiscal symbolizes the public purse. So, it is the purse of the government. It is not individual's purse. Purse is a place where we keep all our money. So, this word fiscal is derived from the Greek word which means basket and it symbolizes public purse. Hence, public finance has been newly termed as fiscal economics. The new word for public finance is fiscal economics. What is the meaning of public finance? Public finance is a study of the financial aspects of the government. All the money related matter of the government is studied under public finance. It is concerned with the revenue. The government has to generate revenue and the government has got a lot of expenditures and the adjustment of one to the other. So in those days, the government was considered to be a police state. What do you mean by police state? What does a police do? He looks into the law and order of the government and he protects the public from dangers. Likewise, the role of the government was very limited. Its role was just supervising, protecting the people from any danger and harm from within the country as well as from outside forces too. But nowadays, our government has become a welfare state. It not only protects the people, but it also has to cater to the needs of the public, that is, the people. It has to construct hospitals, schools, it has to give old age pension, it has to provide food for the people. Very poor people can get food or items from the PDS, Public Distribution System, or the ration shops. So the government has to do all these things for the welfare of the people. So the expenditure is growing more and more every day. So how does the government meet to all these expenditures? It has to generate a revenue. So in this area, the public finance, we will be studying about the revenue, the expenditure, and how it is getting adjusted with one with the other. We have the definition for public finance here. Two definitions are there in your textbook. Page number 177, 9.3. If they ask, give the meaning for public finance, you can write this. In case they ask you to define public finance, you have to write either Adam Smith or Dalton. Sometimes specifically they ask, define public finance in the words of Dalton, or define public finance in the words of Adam Smith. In that case, you specifically have to give the definition of Adam Smith or Dalton, whatever is mentioned in the question. So let's see the definition. Adam Smith's definition. Public finance is an investigation into the nature and principles of the state revenue and expenditure. So public finance, in this we will be studying about the nature and the principles of the state revenue and expenditure, how the state generates revenue and how the state spends for the welfare of the people. This is the definition given by Adam Smith. Professor Dalton has given this definition. Public finance is concerned with income and expenditure of public authorities and with the mutual adjustment of one with another. So Dalton has also given a similar thing for public finance. It is concerned with the income and expenditure of the government and how it adjusts the expenditure and the income adjust with each other. ஸோ இங்கே பார்க்குறது என்னென்னா, கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு நிறைய செலவு இருக்குது. அந்த செலவை சமாளிக்கிறதுக்காக அரசாங்கத்துக்கு வருவாய் தேவை. இந்த வருவாயை எப்படி ஜென்ரேட் பண்ணுறது, எந்தெந்த விதத்தில் செலவு செய்கிறது, இதை பற்றி படிக்கிறது தான் பப்ளிக் ஃபைனான்ஸ். So what is the subject matter or the scope of public finance? There is a question at the back. I think it is question number 37. Explain the scope of public finance. This is a 5-mark question. They can either ask, explain the subject matter of public finance, or they can ask, explain the scope of public finance. For both the questions, you have to give the same answer. It is a 5-mark question. So what do you mean by scope of public finance or the subject matter? In the modern days, this subject public finance includes 5 major subdivisions. So beneath this public finance, you have 5 major subdivisions. So these are the subdivisions of public finance: public revenue, public expenditure, public debt, financial administration, and fiscal policies. In case if they ask this as a 2-mark question, what is the scope of public finance, or what is the subject matter of public finance, you write only the side headings. 1. Public revenue. 2. Public expenditure, 3. Public debt, 4. Financial administration, and 5. Fiscal policy. If it is asked as a 5-mark question, you have to explain all these 5 subdivisions. First, let us see public revenue. பப்ளிக் ரெவென்யூனா அரசாங்கத்தினுடைய வருவாய். அப்ப இங்க வருவாய் அரசாங்கத்துக்கு எப்படிலாம் வருது? Public revenue deals with the methods of raising public revenue such as tax and non-tax, the principles of taxation, the rates of taxation, the impact, the incidence, the shifting of taxes and their effects. So public revenue deals with all these things. How income is generated? Income is generated through tax and non-tax sources. Then what is the principle for taxes? From whom to collect the tax? How to collect the tax? In what rate should the tax be collected? So all this will be dealt in this subject, in this subdivision, public revenue. Then what will be the impact of tax on the people? On whom will the burden of the tax fall? Can a tax be shifted? What are the effects of collecting taxes? All this will be dealt in this subdivision, public revenue. Next is public expenditure. அரசினுடைய செலவு, பொது செலவு. Public means பொது செலவு. In what ways the government spends the money? The government must say, I've got so much of revenue. This is what I'm going to do. All these will be given in a budget. When we come to financial administration, we'll be studying about that in detail. So what is public expenditure? This part studies the fundamental principles that govern the government's expenditure, effects of public expenditure, and control of public expenditure. The government cannot be spending more and more and more. Based on the revenue only, the expenditures can be made. Sometimes the revenue will be less and the expenditure will be more. That time the government has to control the public expenditure. So in this subdivision, we will be studying about the effects of the public expenditure. If the government is spending something, what will be the effect? How will the people be benefited? Then how to control the expenditure? So in this side heading, we will be studying about all matters related to public expenditure or the government expenditure. Nowadays, the expenditure of the government is more, as already said, because the government is spending for the people. It is a welfare state. So naturally, the public expenditure keeps on increasing year after year. Next is public debt. What is debt? Debt in a கடன். அரசாங்கமும் கடன் வாங்குமா? ஆமா. ஒரு இண்டிவிஜுவல் மாதிரி அரசாங்கமும் கடன் வாங்கும். உங்க வீட்டில் எப்போ கடன் வாங்குவீங்க? அல்லது நான் எப்போ கடன் வாங்குவேன்? என்னுடைய இன்கம் 10,000 rupees, but my expenditure is 15,000. So there is a shortfall of 5,000 rupees. At that time, I go and borrow it from someone. So similarly, the government also borrows money. If the expenditure is more and the revenue is less, the government has to borrow. From where will the government borrow? The government can borrow from within the country or from other nations. So public debt can be internal and external sources. It can be from within the country. From where can the government get its debt? From the RBI, from the Reserve Bank of India, or from other state governments. So debts can be internal source as well as external source. Then the burden of the debt, the effects of the debt, then how to redeem the public debt all fall under this head, the public debt. So in the public debt, in the side heading, in the subdivision, we will be studying about எங்க இருந்தா கடன் வாங்குது, கடனை எப்படி அடைக்கிறாங்க, கடன் வாங்கினதுனால மக்களுக்கு என்ன பாதிப்பு ஏற்படுகிறது. All that will be dealt in this public debt. Next is financial administration. This part deals with the study of the different aspects of public budget. What is a budget? It is a financial statement given by the finance minister for one particular financial year. It will be presented in the parliament during the month of March and April. The budget is an annual master financial plan of the government. It's a plan of the government. What the government is planning to do for that year. What are the expenditures? How will the government generate the income? All that will be clearly stated in the budget. Then in the budget, in this financial administration, we will be studying about the preparation of the budget, how to pass and how to sanction the budget. All this falls under financial administration. The last one is fiscal policy. So what do you mean by fiscal policy? Fiscal policy means how the government spends and how the government collects the taxes and how it monitors the nation's economic growth. All that will be dealt in fiscal policy. So fiscal policy is the means by which our government adjusts its spending levels and tax rates to monitor and influence a nation's economic progress. So this will be dealt in fiscal policy. So there are many tools for this. எப்படி ஃபிஸ்கல் பாலிசினா என்னது? எல்லா நேஷனுடைய நோக்கமும் என்னது? We must have full employment. All the resources must be used properly. There must be economic growth. There must be stability. So to fulfill all these criteria, there are two tools in the hands of the government. One is called as the monetary policy. The other one is fiscal policy. Monetary policy, பணம் சம்பந்தப்பட்ட policy. 5th chapterல படிச்சோம். Fiscal policy is something to do with the revenue and expenditure of the government. So to attain all these macroeconomic objectives of full employment, price stability, economic growth, economic stability, there are certain tools. Taxes, subsidies, public debt, public expenditure, all these are instruments of fiscal policy. இந்த நோக்கத்தெல்லாம் அடையிறதுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ற டூல்ஸ் தான் இதெல்லாம். பப்ளிக் ரெவென்யூ, பப்ளிக் எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர், டாக்ஸ், all these are tools of fiscal policy. So this is the subject matter or scope of public finance. You have this under 9.4. 9.4 entirely is the answer for question number 37. This is a very, very important question. Then we have the public finance and private finance. Public na பொது அரசாங்கம், private na தனி நபருடையது. Public finance. Public finance deals with the study of income, expenditure, borrowing, and financial administration of the government. So under public finance, we will be studying about the financial administration of the government. Private finance is similar to this only. Private finance is the study of income, expenditure, borrowing, and financial administration of individuals or private companies. So this is public. It is the financial administration of the government. This is financial administration of individuals or private companies. So did you understand public finance and private finance? Okay, we'll stop with this and let me continue it after a small break.